Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the power of play. And as we said, my name is Melissa Burkhardt. I am a BCBA, and I am the Executive Clinical Director of Early Start Autism. And let's get going with learning about play. Research shows that children with autism who have better play skills at a young age go on to have better play and language skills later on. Actually, the same part of your brain that activates for learning to play is the same part of the brain for language, because language is abstract and play is abstract. You're acting out something you've seen before. So with that being said, you get a lot of bang for your buck when you work on play, because your child's language skills improve while you're doing this. And it's a fun way to connect with your child. So today I'm going to share strategies with you how to optimize your play with your child so that you're able to have longer time playing with your child. Your child will stay with you longer, more learning opportunities, and to just talk about different stages of play and how we can optimize those. Play is so important because when you think about in early childhood and really even throughout your lifetime, play is the glue of friendships. It's what you do with your friends. It's how you share your thoughts and your feelings and the ideas that you create together. And childhood is such a magical time because play is the central way that children learn. And it gives our children with autism a way to connect with their peers so that they can practice those social communication skills. So it's really important to equip our children with autism with the strategies of how to play. And it doesn't come naturally to children with autism as it does to children who are neurotypical. Play activates the whole neocortex. Nothing lights up the brain like play. It is so just powerful how it changes the brain. So how are children with autism different than neurotypical peers when it comes to play? Well, we have to look at the core deficits of autism. That is how autism affects the child's development differently. You've probably noticed some of these things with the children, with your own child. Children with autism, a core deficit of autism is repetitive and restrictive behaviors. So children with autism usually will repeat an action or motion more than their peers, because as they're repeating an action or emotion, that is satisfying to them for a lot of different reasons. They like things to be the same and predictable. But in the meantime, while they're repeating an action or emotion, they're missing out on learning opportunities. They often spend a really long time with a favorite toy instead of exploring the environment and linking toys and ideas together. They might play with unusual objects in unusual ways. Some children will carry around a piece of string and like to flip the string. And that can be used to connect with the child, but it also really limits their learning opportunities. Their play tends to be simpler than their peers. They often don't link multiple steps together, such as needed in a pretend play sequence of, let's say, pretending to play McDonald's and having friends order food from them and them cooking it and serving it. There's many steps linked together. And often children with autism stick to a simpler scheme. They usually have less interest and skill in pretend play. Pretend play is very complex and it takes a lot of different parts of your brain to engage in pretend play. And today we're going to talk about how to teach pretend play. They also seem more content to play alone with their toys, often not initiating with a parent or a peer to join in, and can spend hours doing the same thing with a toy. And when you think about that, think about how many learning opportunities are lost. So we're going to look at this little girl and just kind of look at her play. And let's just think about how her play shows some of the core deficits of autism and what she might be learning or what she might be missing out on. So you can see right there that she's missing out on a lot of learning opportunities. She's got a set idea of one action line up. When something is out of place, that's that restrictive, I want it one way, that part of autism, the brain with autism. She also becomes very upset when things are moved. And it would be very hard to join, for a friend to join into her play with her because of her determination to keep things the same. And although she's an extreme example, often when you play with your child with autism, you'll see a similar theme, that difficulty with being flexible with someone else's idea. But the really good news is we can change this. Parents are the vehicle to change. You have more opportunities in your day with your child than what they have in therapy. And I want to just emphasize that you can be your child's, you can learn to be, and you can be your child's best therapist by becoming their playmate, but being a skilled playmate and knowing how to turn your interactions into productive, fun ways to teach your child and connect with your child. So let's look at this young lady, this little bitty girl who's playing with her father, and let's compare her to the little girl we just saw. And let's kind of talk about what she might be learning right now, the opportunities she has. She's learning language such as pour and sip. She's reading her father's face. So she's learning empathy and how to read a face. She's reading his gestures. She's sharing her attention about the cups, which is joint attention, sharing her ideas by looking at the cup and looking at her father and back to the cup and commenting about it. That's a key part of something we want to increase in children with autism because it affects all of their development. She's imitating her father. She's working on fine motor skills. It is endless. It's amazing how much can be learned through something that looks like just, oh, that's play, it's not that important. But actually, it is the most important way to work with young children. I think all ages of children is through play. So we just talked about all these perspective taking. She's learned to take her father's point of view, planning skills, planning what she's going to do next, self-regulation, like the little girl in the video before really needed some help with self-regulation. So as we go into this, I want you to reflect. What kind of player are you? And it's important to reflect upon this so that you can be mindful about the strategies we're going to talk about. If you tend to be more of the teacher or helper style, which I find is very common, it's not a bad style, but there's some things about it that can inhibit some of your child's opportunities to learn. So the teacher style often chooses what the child will play with. They direct the child how to play. Put it here, do this, do that. They tell the child what to say, and they ask a lot of questions. And I understand why parents of children go to this style, because they're super concerned that their child is behind developmentally. The only role model they have for teaching a child is a teacher. And so they take on that role of, I'm going to teach you. We're going to do a puzzle now. This is the color blue. This is the color yellow. Tell me what color this is. Sit down. Now we're going to do this activity. And my heart goes out to parents, because that's all they've got in their tool chest, not knowing the research that we're going to be talking about. So if you're the teacher or helper style, just reflect on that. Some parents may take on the do not disturb style, and that style often kind of is the result of having a child who really doesn't want them to play with them. A lot of kids with autism will pick their toys up and leave when you come into their zone, because they want to do it in one way, like the little girl earlier, and they don't want someone to mess up their way. And the parent, after their child walking away multiple times, just decides, my child's happier on their own. I'm just going to let them play alone. And there's a way to build a bridge to your child, and we're going to talk about that today. Also, some parents don't feel as comfortable just being silly. Some people are more naturally bigger affect, like to play, like to get on the floor, and some people just don't feel as comfortable. So it may be something you have to just work on so that you can feel comfortable. The style that helps a child with autism learn and have the most learning opportunities is the responsive player. The responsive player fits their response and fits their energy level to their child. So it's going to vary. It's not always going to be the same. So if their child is overly sensitive to sounds or to big affect, the parent will know to tone it down. Or some children are underreactive and they need the parent's energy to carry them with the parent using big affect and big sound effects and big smiles to get the child to look at their face. The responsive player ahead of time sets up the environment to learn. So that parent has looked at what can they target. They might be thinking about what are they working on with their child, requesting things, language, learning vocabulary. And if you see this parent has shelves set up behind them and they have things displayed, just one thing, so the child can see it. The parent might have set out some puzzles, things they know the child will like and can choose from, but not overwhelming in the environment with a lot of things. And they're going to rotate it out to keep the child interested. So when we get to allowing the child to choose the activity, there's all these activities that the parents already kind of thought about how they might work with their child or follow their child to. So following the child's lead is allowing the child to choose their activity. And we're going to talk more about that in a moment. The responsive player is animated and fun and keeps the play going. Also, the responsive player limits the number of questions. Going back to the teacher and helper style, often parents don't know how to talk to their child because they're unable to talk with their child because their child does not have that much language. So instead of the parent talking or just waiting, they ask a lot of questions. What are you doing? What color is this? And they'll ask, not wait for an answer. And that's all they've got in their toolbox. What happens when you ask a lot of questions and you don't get an answer is the child learns to ignore questions. Questions are important. I don't have to answer them. I just ignore them. So when they get to school, that can really affect them in a negative way. So we're asking less questions at the right time with something concrete in front of your child that they can see to help support their answer is the best way to ask questions. It's a hard habit to break. You have to self-monitor. Helping the child with ideas. So if they have an idea, handing them blocks to add to their tower. Handing them, getting out some cars for the child if it looks like the child's building a road. So let's talk about how we go about playing with your child. Let's say your child's already chosen an activity. You would go ahead and join in by getting across from your child face to face. The importance of face to face is so that the child can see your mouth as you form sounds, and so that your child can see your affect and your expression, and so that you can see your child's idea. Just as important is being sensitive to your child's idea. The next step after getting on your child's level face to face, getting in their spotlight, is to be a wise owl. The wise owl doesn't talk much. They observe and watch with their big eyes. What's the child's idea? And they wait. Instead of jumping in and controlling the play or making suggestions, they wait to see, what is it that my child likes about this? How can I join in? I'm gonna wait. During that time, you might take some deep breaths, smile at your child, and watch. You might find that your child will communicate to you in some way. And you're gonna think about, what is my child's idea? This is one of the hardest strategies to learn, and it's hard to do because you wanna jump in and get going. But this is so important because a key deficit in autism is initiation. If we're always telling a child what to do or controlling, they're not able to initiate with their own ideas. And when they don't initiate with their own ideas in language, they aren't connecting that part of their brain. When we step back and let the child be the first to communicate in some way, even if it's a subtle little look, then they're coming up and they're building neurons in their brain on their own language, their own ideas. Where you lead, I will follow. The next thing is, what's the child's idea? And following the child's idea. Instead of, if the child's playing with cars and you think it's time to do puzzles, okay, we're gonna do puzzles now. That's not following your child's idea. The importance of following your child's idea is your child's attention is already on something. It's hard for children with autism to switch their attention. If you join in, the child will stay longer and you're gonna have more learning opportunities than trying to switch the child's attention, and they're motivated. They're motivated to play with that toy. You're gonna capitalize on motivation, which is pivotal, as is initiation, to get those learning opportunities going. Be a sportscaster. Talk about what your child is doing. So you're face to face, you're owling, you're watching your child, and now you're gonna comment and narrate. Talk about what your child is doing. The train's going down the track. Oh, the train's on top of the ramp. The train's going down fast. You're one-upping your language. If the child speaks in 0 words, you're gonna try to aim for 2 to 3 words. for a lot of the time that you're narrating for your child. Other times, speak in longer sentences. You're going to emphasize core words such as nouns and action words, prepositions and adjectives later. So, train goes down. The horse is on top of the barn. It's much harder to learn concepts such as on top, under, in, fast, slow, than it is to learn numbers and letters. Numbers and letters are the repetitive and they're the same every single time. Children with autism usually excel with numbers and letters. They love the predictability. They have a really hard time with concept development. When the teacher says, put your name at the top of the page, if they don't know where top is, they're not going to be able to understand that direction. So a core part of the language you're emphasizing while you're narrating and sportscasting will be nouns and actions. Continue to owl, observe, take a deep breath, wait and listen, then imitate your child's ideas. And we're going to talk some more about that. And have fun and be fun. Be a mirror. What your child does, you do. Unless it's something you don't want them to do, such as mouthing a toy or throwing toys. But other behaviors imitate. If they make a sound, try making the sound back to them. Research shows that when we imitate children with autism, it increases them looking at our faces and watching us. It's as if they're realizing that what they do, you do, and they have a power they didn't realize they had before. Imitation is a core deficit of autism. And what that means is they're not learning from their environment naturally. We want to increase a child's ability to imitate. When we increase a child's ability to imitate, then we're increasing their learning opportunities as they're going to eventually be able to imitate peers to learn or imitate you naturally instead of having to teach everything step by step. And research shows if you imitate your child, their imitation increases. So you're going to get face to face. You're going to owl, take a deep breath, watch. You're going to narrate what your child's doing, sportcast, and then you're going to start doing what your child does. Don't take their toy, try to get one that's just like their toy, and do just what they're doing. And you will be amazed at the looks you're going to get, the eye contact, the smiles. And then we're going to build on that into teaching them different ways to play. So this is one of the first and earliest ways kids learn to play is through people play. And that means there's no toys involved. It's face-to-face, two people sharing a fun time together. Parents naturally use these types of routines. And when you use them, there's ways to optimize them, which is putting in pauses and waiting at the every 10 to 15 seconds for your child to initiate with eye contact, sound, or words to show that they want more of this fun game. It's the first conversation. You do something, your child responds. You fit your response to your child's response, and they fit their response to you. This also leads to turn-taking in play with toys, turn-taking with friends, and turn-taking in conversations. It's one of the first building blocks of conversational skills. We're going to look at this video and watch for how the therapist uses pauses and waits for the child to communicate in some way. And now we're going to watch this video and watch how the therapist uses imitation to work with this child. Often children's first words are around routines such as this. They're super motivated to get more of something that feels good to them. So a child that likes to jump, you might try 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. A child who likes to spin, you might try ring around the rosy. But I want to point out how the therapist did not just go through the whole thing. She gave a little bit and then she waited a really long time and even got uncomfortable almost. She counted to 10 and waited. And then the child used gesture and eye contact and a sound to initiate ring around the rosy again. That's powerful communication. Teaching imitation. So within all of this, imitation, teaching your child to imitate, is of extreme importance. So we're going to talk about the steps of teaching imitation. Step 1 is everything we've talked about. Get in the spotlight, eye to eye. Owl, watch your child's idea. Narrate, imitate your child. Once you get that going, you've imitated your child back and forth a few times. Then you're going to show your child a simple new action 3 times, making it fun. So it might be that you're playing with the farm animals and your child's been putting the farm animals in the barn. So you would do the same thing using language such as in the barn. Cow goes in the barn, following the child. And then you decide, okay, I'm going to try a new action. So you might take the cow and have the cow pretend it's eating, yum, 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 making a fun sound and putting the cow's face by, if there's a little piece of hay or grass, yum, 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 yum. Being really big and expressive so your child watches your turn. Do it a few times and make it fun. Then wait. Just look at your child and wait expectantly for about 10 seconds. If your child doesn't do it, help your child, cue your child, which means you help your child put their hand on the cow and do the same thing. And you can make the sound, yum, 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 yum. Help your child do the action. And then, yay! Then back to your child's way, back to imitating your child. Imitate, imitate, imitate. You're ready to show your action again. Go in and make it big and fun and do it again. Yum, 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 yum. A few times, then wait. If your child doesn't do it, help your child. Yay, back to their way. Hopefully they're going to start learning new ideas from you. Notice that we're trying to fade back our prompt. So if we did hand over hand to help the cow eat the first time, we might just get the child's hand on the toy and then back off to see if they'll finish the action. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the stages of play and what you might teach a child at a certain stage. The stage of exploratory play is birth to 1-ish. Children are learning through their senses at this point. They're able to do one-step actions on toys, picking up a toy, dropping it, picking up something, putting it in a bucket. Some children, so let's think about brainstorm. If your child is at this level of play and they like to throw things, a lot of kids love to throw things. They like the sound of it falling. You would think about, okay, let's teach them to throw something appropriate. How about a ball? Then you might start teaching your child how to throw the ball, making it fun, face to face. Then it might be ball and basket, showing your child and helping your child. Then you might pull in different kinds of balls and pull in the sister and daddy. and throw those balls. The next step is functional play, and that's the child showing you, I know what to do with this object, such as putting shapes in a shape sorter. So you want to teach your child different 1 steps, and then we're going to lead them up to 2 steps. So if your child can push a car, 1 car, a favorite car, you might introduce different trucks, different trains, different types of cars. They're doing the same action on different items. Then you might think about the next step in this way of playing, or this level, is to do 2 steps. So you might teach your child, put the car on the ramp and push the car down the ramp. That's 2 steps. Put the train, put together the track and put the train on the track. That can really be 3 steps, because then you're going to push it. So that would be your child's next step if they're in the functional play level. Once a child gets to the functional play level, we can start teaching early pretend play, which is a lot of fun. Early pretend play is that bridge to more complex pretend play. The way you teach early pretend play is you get some objects that center around something the child is familiar with, caregiving activities, eating, bathing. So gather up a baby bottle, a toothbrush, cups, spoons, pretend food. Get face-to-face with your child. Show your child, if the child picks it up, watch what the child does, imitate the child, and then show your child how to use it. So you might have a baby doll with you, and then you might get the baby bottle and show, feed baby, num, 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 and show them how to feed the baby, and show it 3 times and wait. If the child doesn't imitate you, you're going to put their hand on the bottle and on the baby, and you're going to help the child feed the baby. Oh, feed baby, yum, yum, yum. Yay, way to go. And back to your child's way. And then you might try that again. You showing your child first. That's imitation. Not telling them what to do, but showing. That's a really big key in this. It's easy to just tell your child, that's not imitation. You doing it first is imitation. Then you making a big show of doing it again. Yum, 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 feed baby. Then hopefully your child will follow. You can add, wash the baby. You can get a plastic baby doll. You can have the child bring it into the bathtub with them. You can show wash, wash, wash baby, and help the child wash, wash, wash baby, or hope they imitate you. You can bring a stuffed animal or baby dolls to all around your everyday with you. Let's say it's time to eat. Your child gets in their high chair, or they're at the table, and you bring in teddy bear. And as your child's eating, you can feed teddy bear and have your child feed teddy bear, or have a puppet that eats what the child feeds them. Bring it outside, let the teddy bear go down the slide, the child go down the slide. Pretend play is really a fun thing to teach. I'm not going to go into sophisticated, the later levels of play today, because that's a longer topic, but what we're going for is linked actions, such as getting the baby ready for bed, changing the baby's diaper, putting on the baby's pajamas, putting the baby in the bed, and covering the baby up. Those are linked actions, all tied to the same theme. You think about how much thinking that takes. So you can act out these things with your child, making it a lot of fun. And this is not frou-frou, a waste of time. The time you put into this is going to correlate with your child's language development. If you look back at functional play, usually at that point, when they start putting 2 actions together, they usually combine 2 words. When you get to pretend play and they start doing multiple actions, that's usually where we start getting multiple words linked together. Baby hungry, baby crying, baby is sad, feed baby apple. That's how all that language develops. As you get into more sophisticated play, you're going to be thinking about, you can act out going to the doctor. If your child hates going to the doctor, it's something that scares them, you can have them do doctor with their teddy bear. Look at videos about going to the doctor to prepare them. Look at videos about going to the dentist. Have the stuffed animals open their mouth. Let the child look in them. Go to the dentist without actually seeing the dentist. Take pictures. Talk about it. Go back home. Preparing your child through acting it out for the real thing. So as I said, these are all great materials for pretend play, stuffed animals, baby bottles, doctor's kits. And I just talked about how we teach pretend play. So the next step is, once you've taught your child some of these steps with baby bottles and brushes and all of that, then you would keep these items like in a little tub, and you might pull them out with a teddy bear, and then wait to see if your child will initiate their own idea. If they'll take the baby bottle on their own and feed the bear. And if they do, you imitate them and narrate and join in. We want them to initiate with their own ideas, not always having you lead what to do in pretend play. So I can't emphasize enough about giving children space, owling, so they can come up with their own ideas and initiate, because that's how they're going to build neurons in their brain. That's some resources for this. An Early Start for Your Child with Autism, which is the parent book for the Early Start Denver model. The Make Play Rock series, which is from Hammond Language. And there's 4 booklets about each developmental stage of play. On my website, actually I have a new website that hopefully is going to get launched in the next few days. I have all these resources on that website, as well as a lot of other and other resources. And my website is earlystartautism.com. Early Start Autism is partnered with the nonprofit Unicorn Children's Foundation. And we offer a Early Start Denver Model Parent Coaching Scholarship, where you are coached on specific developmental objectives for your child, and you're coached on how to use the strategies we talked about today in more detail specific to your child, as well as learning a plethora of strategies, and you're coached actively with your child so that you can feel what it feels like to use these strategies and learning how to implement developmental objectives. It's very powerful. Sometimes children, within a few weeks of starting the parent coaching with their child, when parents learn to back up and let their child initiate, children go from very little language sometimes to explosion of language, because now they have an idea, they have time to think and get their language out, and they're being given the opportunity to initiate. This is my contact information. Like I said, my name is Melissa Burkhardt, earlystartautism.com. Early Start Autism, we offer parent coaching privately, one-on-one with your child. Also, if your child becomes a client of Early Start Autism, we offer applied behavior analysis that is developmental. So we use a lot of the naturalistic strategies, such as what looks like play, but is really intensive learning. If your child is accepted as a client, your parent coaching is part of that. We accept various insurance and accept children who are 6 years old or younger into our program. So if you'd like to learn more about that, feel free to go to earlystartautism.com. And thank you for the opportunity to share this with you. And
thank you, Melissa.